Dear listener, to help with your experience listening to Fairest Hunter, I've gathered a list of provisions for you to acquire, with the hope it'll allow you a truly immersive experience in this book. Please enjoy the following. Roasted pheasant. A pheasant caught early in the morning, fresh chicken can be a viable substitute, and slow-cooked with a mixture of wild onions and mushrooms from beyond the castle walls, along with potatoes and carrots from the castle gardens. Apple turnover. Made with fresh milled flour, hand-churned butter, a dash of sugar, and apples picked from the village orchards. Dale's mystery stew. Meat chunks, whatever is on hand, along with in-season vegetables. Season with fresh herbs and spices. Dale's root vegetable stew. Potatoes, ham, maybe a little cream if you happen to have milked a cow recently, seasoned with herbs from the garden. Fresh peaches. If magically spelled for more energy and better nutrients, you're lucky. If not, well, I guess you need the merry men to visit your orchards. Breakfast porridge. Somehow it's better than you'd think. Best not to question it. Just add an extra dose of fruit or nuts, and pray Dale has woven his magic into it. Villagers' sweet rolls. Whatever type of bread you have on hand, just make sure to add a drizzle of honey to the top so Marius will sing you praises. A duchess's tea party. Petite cucumber sandwiches served on porcelain plates with sides of sliced meats and cheeses accompanying a fluffy roll. Chocolate pudding. Made with the best cream, chocolate, and the secret ingredient the cook won't tell you about, but you don't care because you haven't had chocolate in months. Breakfast tray. Bread slices, cheese of choice, and fruit of choice. Make sure it's not poisoned, though.
Chapter 1. A Meal Most Unfortunate. Rowena. The king's voice drones on as if we have all the time in the world. In reality, cook is boiling over because it's an hour into dinner and they haven't started the first course. I see her peek through the servant's entrance again, rolling her eyes before she moves out of my line of sight. Just another reason why King Ferdinand is not to be trusted. He can't stop talking long enough to enjoy the freshly baked pheasant I shot today. And if tasty fowl isn't worth being silent for, I don't know what is. My back aches as I lean against the stone wall, the dark leather of my huntress uniform helping me blend in with the guards. Why I'm even here is a question I'm sure we're all asking, but the king's whims are not to be questioned if you value your sanity. He's never called me to a banquet before. Our interactions are usually behind closed doors. My eyes dart from the head of the table where the king stands, down to the seat next to him. Prince Alvor sits there with a pleasant smile on his face, a vacant look in his eyes, and the same expression I've seen on his face for the past 5 years when I've caught glimpses of him. His father rambles on about the state of the kingdom, and yet Prince Alvor is absolutely still, not seeming to care that he can't eat until his father has finished speaking. None can eat until the king sits and takes the first bite. A ridiculous rule, in my opinion. The food is going to be cold, and the servants will be blamed for it when it's his own kingly hiney's fault. But who am I to urge the king to stuff his mouth with food I worked hard to procure early this morning? I'm a nobody. A lowly hunter. The only one left. And I only have this job because father didn't have a son. Father realized I liked weapons and trained me to be his replacement. And I've bested everyone in archery contests who have come to compete to replace me. Although if father were still here, he'd never let me touch a weapon if he knew how much more I do besides hunt fowl for the king. My gaze is drawn back to Prince Alvor, a man I've ignored for years. Yet tonight, my magic tugs at me. A ripple of shock runs through me when Prince Alvor's blue eyes stray from staring into space. They meet mine across the room. My magic leaps in my chest, and my legs twitch, the desire to step closer to the prince winding my body full of tension. Prince Alvor stares, his gaze unwavering. My magic lurches again. The light swirls like a warm, comforting fire through my veins. I tamp down the innate desire to use it. What would I use it on? There are no animals in the room, my normal affinity, and I can see everyone with my eyes, so I don't need to see the light of their souls to see where they are. Why is my magic being drawn to Prince Alvor? Why is it reacting now when I need to hide it from King Ferdinand? I fist my hands at my side. I don't know, and I don't care. And why is the prince still staring at me? I'm not one of the flirty maidens willing to swoon over the ridiculous man-child. I mentally yell at Prince Alvor to look away, to do something to draw the attention away from me. But he doesn't. He tilts his head, his eyes boring into me from across the room. Well, if he won't look away, neither will I. Against my will, my magic spreads, warming my whole body, urging me to move toward Prince Alvor. How odd. Prince Alvor blinks, his mouth twitching, and finally he breaks my gaze, redirecting his gaze down to his lap. His head shakes, as if he could hear my silent berating humor tinging his lips. When he lifts his head, he looks at his father, his brow furrowing as he studies the odious man. Ice rushes through me when Prince Alvor clears his throat. King Ferdinand glares at him, but Prince Alvor doesn't look away from his illustrious father. "My king, I believe our meal is ready." King Ferdinand's mouth snaps shut, his cheeks reddening. His blackened stare travels from one noble to the next, to each nobleman and courtier. They wilt under his gaze, and if they haven't already pasted on the permanent vacant expression that plagues the nobility, it's on their faces now. The same expression that's plagued Prince Alvor for years, until a moment ago. Prince Alvor's shoulders are thrown back, his posture straight and proud. Wait, that vapid smile is plastered on his face again. What happened to the smirk and the light in his eyes? The current look on his face, a passive smile, just makes me want to punch him. Wow, lots of violent thoughts this evening. King Ferdinand slams his fist on the table, rattling the dishes. "If you desire to eat over listening to the king, then so be it." He sits down so forcefully that his chair rocks backward before slamming back onto the stone floor. The violent crack causes several ladies to gasp, their tall hairdos wavering and tilting to the side. Just another fashion choice dictated by a king who, I swear, is not in his right mind. After one comment on the attractiveness of a woman's hair piled high, suddenly the entire court decided voluminous columns of hair were to become the mark of beauty. How easily they cower before a king who is proclaimed to be on the lookout for his next queen, yet flits through noblewomen, twisting them to his whims with nary a care in the world. A boy emerges from the servant's entrance, a covered plate in hand. He slinks to the king's side, places the food down, and lifts the cover before making his quick escape. Unlucky chap must have messed with something in cook's kitchen to have scored serving the king tonight. No one wants to serve him. His volatile temper is most often taken out on the young servant boys and squires. The floodgates of serving boys open, delivering plates to the court. The sweet scent of pheasant breast, drenched in red wine, with mushrooms and roasted vegetables, assaults my nose. No one lifts a fork, waiting for the king's signal to begin eating. Just as King Ferdinand lifts his fork to his mouth, my stomach clenches. A mewling sound echoes through the quiet room. I don't move. I stare at the back of a nobleman's chair. But I feel their gazes anyway. The guards turn toward me, and I even see Prince Alvor's head tilting in my direction. I would rather die than admit my stomach made that sound. Little John was right. I haven't been eating enough. I should really pack something to snack on for my hunting days. The days when I avoid being in the king's employ, I am able to forage more. But how am I supposed to stomach eating food that could go to the refugees who find us in Sherwood Forest? Especially when I can flit down to the kitchen after dinner and poach leftovers from cook before she throws them out. By order of the king. No, stomach grumbling aside, our people need the food more than I do. I'll forage to survive, even if looks of disdain over normal bodily functions are my penance. At least I go hungry for a good cause, not because of a ridiculous king who doesn't realize he's a tyrant over everything, including meals. The guards who turn to look at me sneer, and it's almost an improvement to their perpetual grumpy-looking faces. Throughout the first course, I subtly shift on my feet, alleviating the tension in their arches. My thin leather boots are made for hunting and silence, not for comfort while standing on stone floors. The first course is finished, and I sigh as the second is brought out. Only one more to go, if the king is being reasonable tonight. Maybe I was called here on nothing more than a whim of the murderous king. Nope, that's probably just wishful thinking. Huntress, attend me. The king's voice rings out across the table. Fork still, and so does the beating of my heart. For as much as I hate King Ferdinand, and even though I'm secretly rebelling against him, I have yet to conquer the innate reaction his voice brings when he addresses me. My heart thuds painfully against my chest, urging me to break free. My magic recoils, drawing into me and making itself small inside my chest. Without the warmth of my magic coursing through me, I grow cold, frozen in place. Only a nudge from the sneering guard next to me breaks me out of the trance. My steps are measured as I resist the urge to flee from this room. Mentally, I'm counting each of my hidden weapons. There are the ones tucked up my sleeve, the dagger tied to my thigh hidden under my hunting leathers, plus the thin one in my pocket lining. If King Ferdinand tries anything, I'm prepared both to fight and to lose my life. I'm willing to take the odious man down with me if he tries any funny business. I'm not a maid he can dally with and send away when his pleasures are satiated. My fingers clench, the leather of my gloves creaking. I need to oil them again before I go hunting. The thought brings back a sense of normalcy, and my magic unties itself enough to send a little more warmth and confidence throughout my body. I stop 3 feet from the king's chair and bow low, as expected, before straightening. Yes, King Ferdinand? The king's eyes are darkness personified, but they aren't looking at me. They're looking at Prince Alvor. I find that I have neglected my son's education. If he is to be king one day in the far future, then I need him to learn the art of silence. I'd like you to take him on a hunt and teach him how to be silent. My breath catches and my palms sweat in my gloves, his implied message being communicated clearly. Slowly, I let the air flow out of my nostrils, forcing my heartbeat to steady. It's sheer willpower that keeps my knees from quaking. Yes, my king. When shall I take him? At this, the king finally meets my gaze. His once brown eyes are black, swirling with a darkness that goes beyond mere hatred. Tomorrow. He must learn. Tomorrow. My carefully laid plans have gone up in flames. With one simple word, everything I've worked for is ruined. Tomorrow, I'm expected to kill the prince, on the day I had planned to assassinate his father.
Chapter 2. A Father Most Evil. Alvor. Rowena's eyes meet mine. My father's words replaying in my mind as their meaning slowly comes into focus. I blink, a fog lifting from my thoughts, as if I'm waking up from a long sleep. My gaze moves down the table, the courtiers' gazes avoiding mine. Father's words must mean more than what he simply said. My stomach twists as memories flit together to paint a clear picture of what's happening. Father wants me dead. The thought is like a knife shoving itself into my sternum, twisting as my reality shatters. Rowena's brown eyes with flecks of green stare me down. My toes move in my dress boots, tapping against the hard soles without making a noise as I hold the rest of my body still. I wrestle with the thoughts flooding my mind. I cling to the clarity, a sensation that seems to be so foreign. A sharp pain grows in my chest, stoked by the fire flaming through me at the thought that my own father wants me dead. The longer I look at Rowena, the more I realize it's true. A new thought enters my mind. If father wants me dead, then has he been sending off noblemen and other courtiers to die? Has he been using Rowena as his own personal assassin? My nails dig into my palms as I fist my hands in my lap. Why am I just now realizing this? My heart sinks into my stomach. How many times has father told Rowena to take someone on a hunt, only for them to never return? My gaze travels up and down the table, noting the subdued nobles and their emotionless reactions. They look as vacant as I've felt. Until I looked into Rowena's eyes tonight. Are they quiet because she's here? Do they know her role in my father's court? Is fear keeping their tongues from wagging? No. Father's monologue about our kingdom's greatness and how we're better than the rest of the kingdoms on the continent got the evening started at a snail's pace and deepened the feelings of lethargy I felt before I saw Rowena's eyes. I blink, searching for those eyes that remind me of the rich colors of the forest. She's moved back to the wall and stands next to the guards, conveniently in a spot where I can easily see her between the noblemen's chairs across the table from me. Another wave of clarity washes through me. Something is wrong with our court. I say our court, but really it's father's. The man has not let me make a single decision of consequence in my 22 years of life. I shake my head again, my mind aching as my pulse throbs against my skull. Father's piercing gaze draws my attention, and I recoil at the darkness swirling in his eyes. No, something is going on, and I'm finally realizing this is wrong. I don't know when that misty darkness took over Father's gaze, but I'm not going to sit here quietly any longer. If my death has already been decided, I might as well go out with a bang. My fingers grip my fork, spearing the meat in front of me as I hide my sudden clarity. I take another bite of the tender bird I'm sure Rowena shot this morning. Hopefully, she'll take my life as easily as she does a bird's. A quick shot is all I can pray for. But I'm not dead yet. Though Cook is talented, somehow this meat is tasteless and bitter. I swallow the small bite and set my fork down. I turn to the man causing my indigestion. Father, about that hunting lesson, surely I can learn silence through some other means? A day spent in the library with no one to speak to, perhaps? An assignment to study our illustrious history? Father's lips curl, his eyes darkening. Why are they darkening? Have they always done that? Father shakes his head, his lip curling in a sneer. No. The forest shall teach you the true beauty of silence. His words flow into my mind, which fogs over. My thoughts slow. I move my hands to my lap, tapping my fingers against my leg. A part of my mind screams, begging to stay focused, to hold on to my lucidity. There's an invisible tug in my chest, and I turn just enough to look into Rowena's eyes again. It's like drinking cold spring water. A simple glance and my mind clears enough to put the puzzle pieces together. The longer I look into Rowena's eyes, the more the fog lifts, letting my thoughts slip through. A question I've been meaning to ask my father for years forms in my mind. Whatever he is doing, it's been happening for a while. With Rowena's gaze bringing back my lucidity, I'm able to voice my suspicions. If we're to speak of beauty, we must at least discuss the mirror gifted to you some years ago. Remind me, who gifted it to us? Father's eyes flash, and he snarls before slamming his fist on the table. The mirror is nothing more than a trinket. Why are you asking about a pointless gift? Clearly you are unfit to rule if you're asking ridiculous questions such as these. I lean back, wiping spittle off my cheek. Why am I asking about a mirror? The mirror doesn't matter. It's beautiful. I've been curious about it whenever I see it in my father's rooms, but it's not important. Movement catches my eye and I turn intrigued. Rowena arches an eyebrow, and there's a tug in my chest. And once again my mind feels as though it's been dunked in a trough of cold water. My thoughts and feelings are coming clearly into focus. There's a burning in my chest, a frustration begging for an outlet. Father is somehow distracting me because the mirror is important. I spear Father with my gaze, not willing to back down as I cling to my seemingly fleeting lucidity. If it's a trinket, then surely we can display it for all to view. Seeing as it's of no value to you, I find it quite beautiful myself, and wouldn't mind looking in it daily. Father shoots to his feet, chair toppling behind him as he slams his hands once again on the table. He knocks over his empty cup of wine, which rolls into my full one. Dark red liquid spills down the center of the table, staining the pristine tablecloth the maid spent hours ironing due to one of Father's whims. How do I remember that order but not important things like, why hasn't Rowena spoken to me for 5 years? That feels more important than Father's orders to the maids. Father points at me, spittle flying from his mouth. Enough of your ridiculous questions and requests. You are an unworthy heir. You will learn to hold your tongue. If you scare off the game tomorrow, it is your meals that shall suffer. My mind dulls as his words strike me. The hurt that should be there, only a light pain in my heart. There's a tug in my chest and I lean forward, my body drawn toward her. My gaze meets Rowena's. Her eyes glow, a stark contrast compared to Father's, which swirl with darkness. With her steady focus on me, I'm able to gather my thoughts, breaking through whatever spell Father's words keep putting me under. My father's words are absurd, and I hold in my indignant laugh even as a part of me wonders where the father of my childhood went. He never spoke to me this way. But the man before me? I can't imagine why he expects me to believe tomorrow is anything but an execution, albeit a silent one, especially when he's spewing such hateful words my way. Slowly, I rise from my seat. I gently push back my chair, in opposition of the violent, angry man standing before me. As you wish, Father. I will take leave for the rest of the evening to practice your request. Enjoy your silent meal. I turn, and as I reach the door, Father roars, Everyone is dismissed. My mind clouds over as the door closes behind me. Father's last words echo in my mind. I'm only a few steps down the hallway before the scampering feet of the court echo behind me, escaping the wrath of my father. My father? An evil king? My stomach twists as I stagger down the hallway, almost tripping over my own feet, before the cloudiness returns, soothing my emotions into a tempered state. My feet slow, my thoughts drifting away until I'm reaching for loose threads. My walk turns into a casual amble as I turn down the hallway toward the library. Might as well read my favorite books before my death. I'll say goodbye to Cook in the morning. She might be the only one to miss me. A heavy weight presses against my chest, my heart twisting with a sadness that runs deeper than I've felt in quite some time, though the words to describe why elude me. The hallway grows darker, and the shadows seem to elongate as I dwell on thoughts of tomorrow. I drag my fingers across the tapestries lining the walls as I walk. I skirt around a suit of armor, a memory of filching the sword to practice against Rowena when we were younger, flittering to my mind. I cling to the sweet moment, a memory I haven't revisited in some time. Father never allowed me to make real friends. The only person who came close was Rowena, and only because our mothers were friends. I tried to befriend the other young knights and noblemen, but there always seemed to be a rift between me and the other men. The sensible young women no longer approach me at court events, though I can't remember the last time we've had a ball or dance. Why haven't we had balls? Shouldn't I have been trying to search for a wife? The thought flits away like a butterfly as I slip into the gallery, my favorite shortcut to get to the library. My boots kick up the dust on the floor, and I pass by the shrouded pictures on the walls. Father forbade entrance to the gallery after Mother's death. That's one law I've broken daily. I've visited Mother's picture every day since she died. I pass a tapestry and start my countdown of the portraits leading up to Mother's. Hers is the 12th portrait, and was added after her death, and next to it is her lady-in-waiting who died with her, portrait 13. There's a whisper of fabric moving behind me, the slight noise halting my steps. I turn to look behind me, only to see a slim hand reaching out from behind the tapestry separating portraits 10 and 11. My jaw drops as the hand grabs my arm, yanking me toward the woven fabric in the darkness behind it. I trip over my feet before I catch my footing. Getting kidnapped the night before I die? Why not? My heart skips a beat as I'm pulled into the darkness, down a hallway, and into a dark room. Why am I just now discovering that there are secret passages and rooms in the castle? Also, why am I not fighting against whoever is dragging me through the dark? You know what? If they wanted to kill me, they'll just save Rowena from doing the job. I'd rather not have to look into her face as I die anyway, so might as well be killed in this tunnel. I'm shoved through a doorway into a small room. I flop onto a sofa, banging my head against its wooden frame. A groan escapes my lips. Ouch! Did you have to be that rough? A match flares to life and my kidnapper lights a candle on the mantel. So sorry for the bump on your head, Your Highness. I'm sure it'll be the least of your worries when I kill you tomorrow. Her voice, rich as fine chocolate and smooth as water, runs over me. Rowena.